great to be back jamming in Orlando. This is our first developer conference after the global launch of BlackBerry Q10 and the updated 10.1 SDK, so we're really excited to be here. And I'm really excited to be here to share with you key aspects of our technology roadmap and to further lay out our vision for the next generation of mobile experiences and of mobile computing. And I will explain how the platform, APIs, SDKs, and tools put you, our developers, in the driver's seat to deliver deeply integrated, social, beautiful applications to your customers. So Alec introduced the concepts of sense, understand, and adapt as building blocks for enhanced mobile experiences. And the macadamia demo you just saw showcased how these concepts can be brought together to deliver a unique, immersive experience for your end users. An experience that flows from the core application experiences on the device and drives connections with the people, content, and communities that you care about. But now I'd like to dive a bit deeper into these concepts and look at the actual APIs available today in 10.0 and 10.1, as well as what we will be making available in upcoming releases of the SDK. So we started our journey with the first release of BlackBerry 10 SDK, and it's important for you to understand that we laid a solid foundation for sense, understand, and adapt with that initial launch. So what we are talking about in terms of sense, understand, and adapt is not something you need to wait to be a part of. There is a ton of functionality in place today for you to build on. And we wanted to ensure that there was a strong set of APIs that both allowed you to sense and interact with the world around you. APIs for NFC, GPS, gyro, accelerometer to connect your apps with the environment beyond the device, to really connect you with the mobile computing context around you. We also provided APIs for Bluetooth, including integration for alternate input devices like keyboards and mouse, and alternate displays such as external screens attached via HDMI. This allows you, the developer, to determine the display and input parameters your users have at their disposal and allows your applications to react to the broader computing context of that device and of your user. So step one is we make it dead simple to sense the environment beyond the device. That's the first part. And then once you have that awareness of the computing context your user is placed in, you're then able to integrate deeply with core services such as email and PIM and Hub and BBM to translate that context into something meaningful to enhance and extend the user experience. You can then start asking and answering important questions like, how should I display my data? What is relevant to my user based on their current location or what they're doing? How does my user want to interact with my application based on the display or input devices they have available to them that they're connected to? So it all starts with sensing, right? Displays, input devices, location, proximity, and then you layer on this understanding of the user's context and the communities and content that they care about. And with this knowledge, applications can adapt and do things that otherwise would not be possible. And we go farther on our platform than any of the competitors in terms of providing you, our developers, with access to those capabilities in the device so that you can participate fully in that deep integration with the platform. So step two is we make it possible to integrate deeply with the core services and add context to that raw environment data that you've sensed. So then the final piece of the puzzle is how you adapt your application based on this information to provide the best possible mobile experiences for your users. And once again, we are focused on making it incredibly easy for you to adapt your apps. Many APIs were provided to support the peak and flow user interface, native navigation, and the ability to invoke and share cards to drive a completely fluid experience. We saw earlier from Torsten how the UI of an application can be adapted, for example, when you're in a car, showcasing how many different displays and inputs can be powered by BlackBerry 10. And the car is really just a jumping-off point. We're thinking about this in a much broader context as well. The key is determining the best way to present information based on how the user is interfacing and interacting with the device. And all of this has to be able to dynamically adapt to a changing environment. Inputs can change. They can come and go. Location will change. Pairings will change. Connectivity will change. We need to provide all the plumbing in the platform so that you as developers can react to those changes, and it's really easy for you to adjust the capabilities being provided in your application to that changing environment. And what is really important for you to understand is that we are providing everything you need to make this as simple as possible. We are building this into our tooling and into our core frameworks to make the basic use cases adapt automatically by default. So by default, you don't have to do anything as developers. 10.0 brought many foundational elements to enable these experiences. And with 10.1, we continued laying that foundation with the introduction of support for the full QWERTY keyboard with the Q10. Cascade's core controls automatically adapted to the size of the screen to provide the optimal experience based on that screen resolution. Hotkeys were introduced as an adaptive interaction based on the type of physical input being used. And we have Type and Go, something else that we're opening up and extending to third parties so that you can use those capabilities in your apps. We also introduced asset selectors in Cascades to allow developers to provide adaptive experiences based on the screen resolution. So if you don't want to take that default behavior, you have the ability to add your own assets and customize fit and finish and layout for a specific form factor. So this is another step forward for Cascades in our goal to build a fully adaptive UI framework based on how the user interacts with their display and input. So what I'd like to do now is really make this more real. And I'm going to take you through a few examples that show you how to use existing APIs to create immersive mobile experiences. And first up, I'd like to welcome Gary Klassen to the stage to showcase an application concept that we've been working on. This concept uses BlackBerry 10 and the Cascades UI framework to sense, understand, and adapt to deliver an incredible user experience. So welcome, Gary.
Chris.
Good to see you.
It's truly awesome for me to be here.
All right.
Thank you all.
Handshake.
The past 2 years have been a ton of work for us and for you all as we work together as a team to build everything we know about mobile in this platform. I gotta say, the results are simply stunning. But nowhere near to me as awesome as the opportunity that we now have as a team to start building the future upon that base.
It is. It's an incredible time to be a part of this this changing landscape. But for you, I mean, you've been around mobile experiences since like the dawn of time, right? I mean, you are one of the founding fathers of BlackBerry Messenger. So where do you see mobile experiences going?
It's been an awesome experience for me. I have to say, I don't think there's a better time to be a mobile developer than now. As anybody who's heard me talk before, you've heard me talk a lot about some of the key things that it takes to be successful on mobile. If you want to be successful on these small screens, you really have to do things differently. You have to be purpose-built. You have to build a UI that is clear, responsive, beautiful, and intuitive. And responsiveness is very important because time works differently when you're mobile, when you're trying to move around. And it needs to be integrated and context-aware. These are the things that we've known. These are the things that we've built into the platform on BlackBerry, because it's really important to allow the user to focus on their life and what they are doing, and not on the actual software trying to get it to work.
Right. I think what's important and what we're hearing today, and what we heard Torsten talk about in his keynote, and Alec, is this understanding of going beyond what's on the device. So I think one thing that we were talking about, this concept that you're using to showcase your ideas here, actually is projecting a completely different set of content on the big screen, the HDMI output, from what's on the small screen. So talk a little bit about that and how what we do in mobile actually translates beyond mobile to UI in general.
Yeah, so what's really cool is that all the tenants that we put into mobile, all of those things that we just talked about, turns out they're as important anywhere as they are on mobile. So we have the opportunity now to be able to extend that beyond just the mobile handset. So in this simple example, I'm actually driving a different, on the Z10, I'm driving a different display on the HDMI output than is actually on the local device. That allows me to do some interesting things, like I can actually control the presentation. What it starts to do is allow us to move all of those tenants, the framework that makes these things possible, and move that onto other displays. So we started off with BlackBerry 10. We had support for the Z10. And we added support for the Q10, so a little bit different, 2 different form factors.
Yep.
And so an application can now detect those situations and adapt accordingly. And also HDMI. This is something we want application developers to start thinking about, is how can we now take those things and extend them beyond the device, and then soon into other areas like car or in a number of other different environments. So
exactly, and I think what's important is that we've already laid that foundation. Even in the basic how you build your application for Z10 and Q10, you already have the ability to either accept certain certain UI by default, or to customize and custom fit your UI for a specific form factor. And that translates, as you're seeing here, to a giant screen and a small screen as well.
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty cool. And then going forward as well, we're adding more additional features to make this easier, and more things going forward, including soon we'll have wireless HDMI. So it won't have to be connected actually here to be able to run a display like this. And also we're looking at enhanced adaptability to make it even easier for you to adapt to different screen sizes, to different input contexts. And of course, we're going to try to own as much of that as we can on the platform, so you don't have to think about it, you get it for free.
No, I think it's exciting times, and as we said, as we embark on this kind of new vision for mobile computing, we're making sure that all of the capabilities are baked right into the platform.
Yeah, so we want to encourage everybody to start thinking about what ways we can use to start taking all these things that work so well on BlackBerry and start to extend them to other displays and other contexts. The opportunity is pretty epic.
It's pretty epic, absolutely. Thanks for sharing, Gary.
Thank you, sir.
All right, take care. All right, so you can't help but feel energized when you hear Gary talk about mobile experiences and what we are enabling with BlackBerry 10. He's a pretty passionate guy. But you're starting to see how the core frameworks can sense certain parameters related to the environment the user is placed in this case, the availability of an HDMI connection to an external display, and then adapt to optimize for the experience. And I mean, this is just one example, and these capabilities are being baked into the platform. Next, I want to take a look at how we can use different forms of input to drive user experiences with BlackBerry 10. And for this, I'd like to welcome Sean Paul Taylor to the stage to show us what we're doing with HID peripherals to bring console-style gaming to the platform. Hey, Sean.
How's it going?
How's it going? What do you got here?
We got some cool stuff to show
right.
this year. Really, what we're showing here is Critical Wave by Granny's Games. What they've done is they've integrated in with the new Gamepad API that's built into the screen library.
Yep.
It's really easy to integrate into your game. And as you can see, I'm holding, this is a new Moga Pro. It's got a clip. It just got released, so it's really excited to get that into 10.1 build. And I can play console-grade gaming on here as I'm walking around and having fun.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous, actually, seeing Sean walk around with this thing in the office. Like, there are a lot of head-on collisions.
So yeah. Oh, don't die there.
So when you say that we've made it available for developers, what does a game developer have to do to take advantage of the gamepad support in their apps? So
I'll pause this for a second. Yeah. Last year I played right through. So.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. This is much better. I actually have his partial attention this time.
Really, all you have to do is you just use basically the APIs that we have on the platform to handle connected and disconnected devices. And then once the device is connected or disconnected, you can basically start polling on the buttons and the analog sticks, and you can find out the presence of it. If it has analog sticks, so some controllers don't have them. This one has great analog sticks. It even has the triggers there. So that's kind of very high quality that you expect. And then inside your code, you're just already handling it in your standard screen loop where you're handling events. And so you handle those events and you go off. And the good thing about it is once you implement this, you really, it's going to work on all the gamepads that we support. On iOS and Android, usually it's a plugin, SDK custom, for every gamepad.
For a specific gamepad.
Ours, we've done that plumbing on the bottom layer, so you don't have to worry about that.
Awesome. So we're making it easy for developers
to
plug in and support any gamepad. Now, I know for a lot of them, you're basically just translating events that you've already got with, on the screen for touch. But what do you do with the touch controls? Obviously, when you're attached to a gamepad controller, you don't want those touch controls in your field.
That's right. So once you detect that a gamepad is connected, all you have to do is then stop drawing, or usually you animate down the touch overlays, and then you don't have to worry that they're going to be taking up real estate on the screen, so you can maximize your game.
So once again, we make it really easy for you to adapt the UI based on understanding now that you've got a gamepad.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, speaking of adapting, really, you see me walking around the halls, bumping into things. Yes, okay, that happens. But like really what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unclip this off. I get home. And so now I'm actually going to plug this on here.
Right.
So that's connected there. And then I'm just going to
Awesome. So there you go. So now you've got it up on the big screen.
Yeah, this This is a little bit bigger than the TV I have at home, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've seen his TV. It's still pretty huge.
Yeah, I'm going to go find the boss now.
So, and I think this doesn't look good. There you go. See, you're much too focused on our conversation.
Yes, this year I'm very focused.
So I think something else that Gary just mentioned, which obviously comes into play here, is talking about Miracast and support for wireless HDMI. Obviously, then you don't even need to connect it up with the wire.
Yeah, no, you don't. And as a developer, you don't have to concern yourself at all. That's one of those automatic points once again. So I mean, it will simplify setup. You won't need to keep a wire hanging around. But as a developer, you don't have to worry. Whether it's Miracast wireless transmitting the actual signal, or it's actually an HDMI, there's no difference really. So
you just know you've got a screen of X dimensions and it's available and capabilities, and then you
transmit it to it.
Excellent. So I know, a big part of our gaming portfolio is coming from key partners. For developers who are building on one of our partner gaming platforms, how do they get gamepad support?
Yeah, so I'll show you some more demos over here.
All right.
So one of the people that we're working with very closely and that everyone's really exciting in the gaming community is the Unity. And the open beta is starting this week. So we had a closed beta and it was very successful. Like there were developers literally bringing up tons of their games in their catalog in a very short time. And they said it was really exciting to see that happening. So now we're moving into open beta. One of the things we did in the BlackBerry during that time in the engineering side is we added support directly into the Unity for the gamepad APIs. So you'll see inside the code and the samples I'd have if-def Xbox, PlayStation, or BlackBerry only. And then so it's actually integrated in for BlackBerry, and all the other vendors have to actually use custom plugins that they downloaded for every controller.
Perfect.
Like I said, we did all the plumbing inside. So
you got it baked in.
Yeah, so I'll show you a demo here. This is a SteelSeries. It's
a nice little controller.
Nice small controller, fit in your pocket. And it's really a high-grade, SteelSeries makes very high-grade hardware. And then what I'll do over here is I'm going to show you just pairing process here. So I'm going to hold this for a few seconds. And then on the device, you'll see the Z emote. Second, there it goes.
You can see it show up. There it is.
Shows up there. And then I'm going to swipe back here, come over here, and then voila, I'm shooting away at the guy.
Beautiful.
And I mean, this is really, I mean, here you can see the quality of also the runtime, and I'm wireless here, so this is great that I can really just play gaming. I'm going to get into my zone here. Back off. And I mean, it really is amazing.
So basically, for somebody bringing a title over with Unity, it's dead simple for them to provide gamepad.
That's right. Yeah, so I mean, what they really loved about this, we were at a developer conference recently. I put these things on the table and guarded them carefully. And they got it in their hands and they were playing with it, and it really changed the environment, the way that they're developing. Also with the open beta, we're going to be moving into the gold after for the Unity, and we're going to add in-app purchasing in the score loop. So we're doing these plugins, and they're really appreciative that we're exposing those. So with the gamepad experience, the developer with Unity can be developing, and they're in a small iterative environment there, and they're trying to do a jam or something, and they want to get the builds over, so they'll be doing that. And then all of a sudden, I'm sending over a build, and the tester's play testing on the couch, like actually with the gamepad, and all of a sudden he's got a new build, and he didn't even stop. So it's really exciting to see them thinking in this way that you've just made it a lot easier for us on how we actually develop in an environment because of these kind of environment and how we had it integrated. So.
No, I think it's an exciting time. Thanks for coming and sharing.
Yeah.
And yeah, can't wait to see what's coming next. See you, Sean. All right, so I think a pretty cool demo, but again, driving home the point that here are applications, in this case games, that are adjusting their behavior and everything from the layout to obviously how actions are being tagged and being run based on the availability of that new input device showing up. So we've seen how you can sense and adapt based on the availability of external displays with Gary and alternate input sources with Sean Paul. And what I'd like to do next is welcome Tim Neal to the stage to talk about how we can bring all of this together in the context of in-car application experiences. So hey, Tim.
Hey, Chris. How's
it going?
Good.
So you got out of your Batman gear and
yeah, Orlando's a little hot to wear that, and frankly, I was a little hurt by the rejection.
It was tough. I know we were pretty hard on those guys. So this morning in the keynote, in the BlackBerry Live keynote, Torsten demonstrated an amazing in-car experience powered by BlackBerry 10. And it seems like the automotive experience is just a wonderful showcase for what we're talking about here in terms of sense, understand, and adapt. So can you talk to us a little bit about how that all fits together?
Absolutely. So I mean, you saw this morning, a much different size screen that was in the car, as well as really interesting toggle wheel, and even a predictive when your hand was getting close to that stuff. So what we're doing with Cascades is constantly pushing the limit to understand much more the context in where you're working with your application and how your user is interacting with it. So things like, how do you move between controls with the toggle wheel and adapting to that kind of environment?
Right, so we're trying to bake it into the core framework so that your applications will sense that peripheral and be able to take that input and translate it to the touch events that you've already mapped.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, you saw already we started doing things with 10.1 where we introduced asset selectors that deal with screen resolution. Well, screen resolution is a starting point for dealing with context and the screens that we're dealing with. But really what gets to the meat of it is understanding how your user is working with your application. Are you in a car? Are you with your phone? Are you plugged into an HDMI? How do you want to present that user interface to your user to interact in the best way?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's important for the community to understand that we are thinking about ourselves. How do we adapt our apps for this kind of sense and understanding? And a key use case, again, related to the in-car experience is if we know that a user has a car, or in fact is in a vehicle, we can tailor and customize the app world experience to help drive discovery for applications that are related to automotive. So I understand you've brought one such application with you here today to show off.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an app here called Track My Car. And today with this application, when you get out of your car and you're going into a mall or a sporting event and it's a crowded parking lot, how do I get back to my vehicle and find it? So today, the way the application works is you get out of your car, you mark it and say, this is where my car is. And then you go in and do whatever you're doing, and then you come back out and try to locate your car. So in this case, we'll
pretty useful, obviously, for anybody who's ever lost their car at a hockey game or or in the mall or whatever.
Yeah. So I hit the locate my car here, and now it's going out and using cell tower triangulation to be able to see where we are, because we're indoors right now to try to figure out where we are to be able to map that route back to the car itself. And so the application, when it finds that information, is able to then either map it, give you walking directions to be able to get to it, and it's also got an interesting augmented reality view in it as well here. So we'll hope that the cell tower gods are good to us here now and get our position, and here they come in. Cool. So.
All right. So that was your Bentley, right, backstage?
Yeah. So that was my Bentley. I wish. Yeah. And of course we parked it back in the parking lot there, so everybody can jump into it. So that's where it is behind us. And so it's interesting here. You can actually see the augmented reality view, and we'll see if my cable. Let me unplug the charging cable here. And it says, well, no, you're not in this direction. You need to go this way. And, well, he's not my car.
I'll move out of the way.
And I kind of keep going.
There we go.
And there's my car back there. So
it is back there.
It is back there, literally. So this gives an example of being able to use a lot of the different things. So this is using gyro, the mag, the viewfinder to be able to pull all this stuff together. And one of the interesting scenarios that you can start seeing happen when we're detecting that we're in the car, instead of me having to physically do things like mark where my car is, I know now that I've disconnected from my car. That Bluetooth connection is gone. I can automatically tag my position and do things like that. So these are the kind of inputs that we can deal with in our applications to do things more to like what Alec was talking about this morning, making decisions on your behalf instead of you having to physically go and click things.
Exactly. So I mean, this is all part of how we, again, bake into the platform the capabilities for app developers to then adapt their apps and have this amazing mobile experiences.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing,
Perfect.
Tim.
No
Good
problem.
to see you. All right. Thanks, Tim. So we've seen a few examples of what's available today on the platform for developers, and hopefully that sparks your imagination to start thinking about experiences that you can enable in your apps. So now let's look forward at new functionality, some of which we've talked a little bit about already, that we will be bringing to the SDK for a beta in June. So first off, we'll expand the capabilities to sense and interact with the world around you. You'll have the ability to make BlackBerry 10 a host for USB devices to enable many other types of peripherals. And as you heard, we're providing support for wireless display technology with Miracast. This will remove the necessity for a physical HDMI connection to get content on an external display. We're also providing access to smart card readers and additional event-based data sources related to environmental conditions such as cell tower and altimeter, all to extend the types of environments that you can interact with using BlackBerry 10. So that's for Sense. We'll also be providing additional integration points with the system to enable intelligent decisions in your applications. For example, providing a mechanism for applications to run without UI in a way that is mindful of device resources and user experience. We're also empowering developers to use in-app analytics to better understand how their users are interacting with their applications and then take that information back and adjust the user experience on the device. We're also providing geofencing APIs to create meaning around certain locations. So you can tag certain locations, whether it's a retail location or a public space, and drive different behaviors in your applications based on that tagging. Okay? All of this then needs to be brought together with increased capability to adapt your UI. And we're providing additional accessibility features, input capabilities, and abstract layouts to do just that. And we're enabling more control over screen services and input, all moving towards a fully adaptive framework that helps you look beyond resolution and focus on interaction. And this is just the beginning of our journey with BlackBerry 10. We've provided basic building blocks to create compelling experiences, and we will continue to push our capabilities further in all three directions of sense, understand, and adapt to provide unique experiences no matter where you are or how you're interacting with BlackBerry 10. So we've talked a lot about improvements coming related to adaptive UI and specifically related to our Cascades UI framework. But we continue to be absolutely committed to providing a truly open platform for developers that provides choices in terms of technology you use to bring your experiences. And we have unparalleled support for HTML5 and web standards, and we offer Android and Air runtimes to make it easy to bring existing applications to BlackBerry 10. We're also committed to providing you with visibility into our platform roadmap, and today we have posted updates to all our Arrivals boards to include features that will be coming in the June beta and the August Gold SDK releases. We are constantly updating our roadmaps with additional features as commitments are locked in, so make sure you stay tuned, you bookmark, and you come back often. Now today, we have three important updates related to our HTML5, Android, and Adobe Air runtime environments that I'd like to share with you. First off, we'll be migrating the core implementation of WebWorks to use the standard open source Apache Cordova implementation. All right. This is, I know this is something we get a lot of support for. It's completely in line with our commitment to be aligned with and fully adopt all web standards as they evolve. We're not trying to do anything proprietary in the web space. We're also upgrading our Android player to support the most widely deployed version of Android, the 4.22 Jelly Bean release. So that will be coming. And we've updated the Adobe Air runtime to version 3.5 with Stage 3D support for OpenGL accelerated graphics. So you can see we continue to be completely committed to meeting developers on their turf, on their terms, and providing the only truly open mobile platform. We are also committed to extending the APIs and integration points related to sense, understand, and adapt to all our developers across environments, giving you everything you need to build beautiful, social, integrated experiences that fully explore with us the brave new mobile computing landscape that we're creating with BlackBerry 10.